I'm your host, Justin Tuminowski. You can find me at realestatejustin.com. And guys, I have Roger and Diane Oquist here. We're going to get into some Gator wrestling. We're down in Texas, and I'm going to go right into it. Guys, please introduce yourselves again, or just tell us, where you're from, what's going on, who you are, and we're going to get into some Gator, some lending talk, some deal talk. And guys, pay attention. We have a lot of community members in here. We have, actually say not in here, but we have a lot of community members that Roger and Diane have touched. And I think that's one of the focal points of this. So we're going to highlight that. And guys, let's go right into it.
I'm Roger Oquist, and this is Diane. We've been doing real estate for about 25 years. And we've done single family, multifamily, and we joined Gator right about 2 years ago. And Diane's been top tier TC for about 1.5 years now.
And my focus is I work a lot with making sure PMLs, private money lenders, as we call them, or Gator 3.0, as many people are familiar, making sure their deal is secure, getting it through the finish line, and that they have all the securities that they need in place.
So Diane, I'm doing my own TC work, my own, going to seek out private money lenders, and then I'm just like, yeah, I'll secure you. I'll take care of the paperwork. You think that's recommended?
No, because first of all, you're usually working with someone who's a visionary, who is getting deals done, and that's what they should be doing. And so you need to come to someone who's going to make sure all those little details, dot the I's and all that kind of things are done, making sure that, I'm going to have the PML's interest, not that your borrower's not going to have their interest at heart, but I'm going to be making sure that you have gotten all the deal secured the best way that you can.
Yeah. Guys, if you didn't hear that, hiring a TC, a transactional coordinator, if you don't know who it is or what it is, Diane's information will be here towards the end of the podcast, so be sure to pay attention. She's done over 80 files in this short period, which is a lot. That's a lot of, and also just a life experience too of 25 years in investing. Don't forget that, guys. So you're going to get more than that. You're going to get that wisdom behind the TC. It's not like you just hired someone who's just a brand new TC either. It's way more powerful than 80 files. So
I think our secret ingredient for us really is that we too do lending. So we treat each file just as if we were lending on it.
Yeah. Do you ever see deals? Side note, do you see deals that have red flags in them, and would you make those borrowers aware or those lenders aware?
Often I will point out, I've turned away files and said, I just really don't think you should do this deal until you get a few other things in place, or just look at these things before we move forward. So yes, I've pointed out. I can't underwrite the deal for them because that would be way too time consuming for me to do, but I can see red flags that I will point out.
And like we've seen is when we're doing Gator Lending, we look at 90 to 199 deals before we would pick one, because there's so many out there. They have to make sense for us. And just from our experience doesn't mean everything, because we learn something new on every deal. It's looking and wanting to learn every time, because we learn something every day.
There's a nugget in everyone. I was just saying that there's a nugget in everything, and you can have all these great deals, but there's always something, like you said, there's something in there, whether it's a piece of protection or the latest revelation that comes out where we've altered the documents. So we've added this in there. That could be the simple nugget.
It's so true.
Yeah.
Single one.
So, all right. Well, Roger, catch me up to speed on where we're at with the Gator. And you said 3.0. I want to actually back it up. What's Gator 1.0? What's 2.0? What's 3.0? If you can give me just a 1,000-foot view on those.
So 1.0 and 2.0 there's EMDs where people lend earnest money to wholesalers to where they need to lock up a property. And normally that sits there for 10 days within the contract while they inspect the property. And then there's double closes where maybe a wholesaler gets a property and they mark it up. They may mark it up 30%. But they don't want the end buyer to know what it costs. So they'll do a double close to where people put the money in escrow, so the wholesaler sells it to that lender, and then it gets passed on to the new buyer, either the flipper or the retail buyer, because they don't get to see what the wholesaler really paid for it.
Love that. So it's an A to B, and then we can go to B to C. So guys, listen to that. That's a double. We went through EMD, so earnest money deposit. If you lock up a contract, you don't have the required, let's say it's $1,000 EMD, you bring in a Gator. Then if there's a double close where, again, wholesaling might be illegal, or there's you don't want someone to know what you're making, whatever it is, you want to show that you're buying the property, you bring in someone to bringing the lending in. And that money, what, typically sits in just in the escrow, right?
It doesn't leave escrow. It sits there, and it can be immediate right away, or it could take a day, and the money is very safe, and the lender could collect, generally the term is about, or they collect about 1 to 2%.
Okay.
For a few minutes of money sitting there.
That's really cool. And now there are some risks in that. And I know we're not supposed to, we're not really, this isn't the point of this conversation, guys. This is more for me. And I just want to paint the picture. And Roger and Diane are really sweet about educating. And guys, they've done this a bunch of times. So I'm trying to extract all their value for you guys sitting at home or driving or at the gym. So what I'm trying to get at is just, let's say I had a few extra dollars and I can go invest. And great, Gator 2.0, let me go do a double close or a transactional lending. I have $200,000, someone needs it, it's gonna sit in escrow. Where am I wiring that money? Am I verifying any of these title companies? I mean,
Going to verify that title company before your TC should do that for you. Going to verify your title company, make sure it is a valid title company, first of all, make sure the wiring instructions, all that kind of stuff. You're going to verify everything. And then you also have to have very clear escrow instructions on those, because you want to make sure that those funds are not released otherwise, and will come back to you.
Yeah.
If a deal falls through.
love that. Yeah, and I heard Abraham Gray talk about this when I was with him. This was like 2 years ago, and he was talking about verifying these fraudulent title companies. And I'm not a Gator lender, so guys, everyone at home, wherever you, I'm not really in the Gator scene. I know all about it. I was like, my goodness, that is right. That is something you have to be mindful of.
Yep.
And I'm sitting here like, everything's what are they, rose-colored glasses, and I'm just like, everything's great. No. And they said there were LLCs at one point that people would actually get their LLCs now. They would season them for a year and put it on as a title company.
Which is crazy. I know.
Yeah.
There's so much fraud
And
that's
part of what Diane does too as a TC, she'll check and verify, but you want the lender to do that also. They need to the Gator for themselves. But don't call the phone number that they email you. Don't send it to the wire instructions to what they emailed you. Look them up and Google them online. Make sure they have some ratings. It doesn't matter if they're good or bad, but make sure they've been around for a while. And this is from Abraham. That's a great
Yeah.
Abraham provided so many nuggets on that.
And then call the title company directly and read the numbers.
Yeah, all too often I've heard that emails were intercepted. My title company, my attorney told me, side note, she's like, there was a $3 million intercept and that money was gone.
Yep.
Gone. And she said they got into the emails, they switched some numbers around, no one paid attention, and that happened. And that was years ago, but that was one of the first fraud cases I've ever heard in real estate. It's interesting. And it's money, guys. People will do crazy things for it.
Yeah.
They sure do.
You need to be careful, and it's talking to other people. And like us, we talk about different things. And then in the other Zooms that we attend with other Gators and other top tier, we all learn every day from these things that could happen.
And being in a community, wouldn't that help? And I'm sure it helps because you get to share these war stories, but also these troubles, tribulations, and hey, just so you know, what about this person?
Right.
Or, if someone has a bad rap, I think word will spread too, which is great.
It is.
So, all right. Well, thank you for that. Let's get right into this deal. We're in Texas, right? Is that what we're talking about?
Yes. We live in Texas, and funny enough is we really have not done very many PML deals in Texas.
We haven't done one in a year and a half.
I know. So when we were presented this, we were like, oh, we could do a Texas deal.
Yeah, finally. Just sit in our backyards to some degree.
Exactly. Do you want to tell about how we heard about it?
Yeah, we had a person come to us asking us, it was about being a TC, correct? In the beginning.
It was originally, he was asking about me TC.
Yeah, he wanted to be a TC, and he was a new Gator, hadn't done a deal yet. And what happened was he called us and had us look at it, and he wasn't real sure. And we saw him on a TC Gator Zoom, and he brought the deal up. Diane texted it over to me in the morning, and I was looking at it. And he said, I'm not sure if I should bring this up on the Zoom. I have this deal that I'm thinking about doing. And he shared it. And he said he didn't really want to bother Roger and Diane because we were driving up to Oklahoma in the car while we're listening to the Zoom. And then Diana texted him about it and said, who's the borrower? And it happened to be someone that comes to our meetup group that we host here. And then he still wasn't sure. And we were talking in the car, and we said, we'll do the deal if you don't.
Because it had made sense. The deal, the money was there was equity in it, all that. It had everything secure that we could look for. So we were like, yeah, let's do this. It's got Brandon Kingsbury, I'll shout him out. He's a Gator in the community. And then Lisa Lee, who's SubTo. She was the one that was borrowing. And so when he mentioned her, I'm like, it's Lisa. We love Lisa from our little meetup.
And during that Zoom too, there were some people chiming in on the side of maybe you shouldn't do this, you need more information, which is good because there were people in that Zoom that were questioning the deal to help ask those questions you may not know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they were all really good questions,
Yes.
and he had good answers for them. And then involved in this also was Dr. Tammy.
Dr. Tammy.
She had been the connector, putting the two of them together. So we said, well, we'll do it.
So let me ask you a question though. So there was apprehension though, right on the first. So this person came on, they were announcing this deal, this opportunity, and they really just wanted just to hear, they wanted to vent and get some feedback and underwrite it as a community essentially.
It was an interesting deal too. It wasn't your typical. They were she was buying it subject to, and she was doing it more of a wrap, because she was getting the loan and she was going to be wrapping the seller's loan around a hard money loan. And she was going to need a month to do that. She was going to need the money to hold over the seller and it was already in the process of getting that other loan. So we understood the deal, but it was a little bit different for underwriting for Brandon. So I could see, as a new Gator, he was concerned because it wasn't a typical one to underwrite. So,
Well, that's the power of the community.
yeah.
Yep.
Like right there, right then and there, that is exactly what it's for. Now imagine going through it alone. Who the heck do you call?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Well, one of the things about it is what Carly drives into everybody's head in the beginning. Do a deal with an OG Gator. Things can happen. It isn't rainbows and unicorns. Things happen, and there's predators out there. Yeah. And that's where it's his concern. Let me talk to some people before I do a deal to protect myself, because people do lose money if they're not careful and don't vet it out with people in the community.
I love that.
So, and for protection, it's like we were able to help paper it up to where we're protected. We know what questions to ask and how to secure it to help him.
No.
Got a second position lien in place on it, which he just didn't even really know where to go, like what to start with. What do we need to get this secured? So we helped orchestrate getting a second in place.
And if you look
because you had to pay off the one second to get the other second. So it was a little bit complicated there too.
And with background from what we've done 10 or 15 years ago, we didn't have anything like this. You've been there. You've been around a long time. We couldn't go to people to learn.
Yeah.
No, I don't even know where you go. I mean, you do private money lending, you do some of this, you do some of that. Like I know one of my friends did one of the first times I used some money, as I started to not use my own, I was dipping my toes into feeling uncomfortable years ago. And he gave me $75,000 from a self-directed IRA, but that was even like foreign language.
Yeah.
And whatever, the teens, 20 teens.
Yeah.
So, that was, then what do you do from there? I mean, I don't know, but it's friends and family for the most part. Everyone out there listening right now, it's probably a lot of friends and family. And if you don't have that, like, where do you go?
Exactly.
Hard money lenders. But the one thing is I see a lot of hard money lenders now are getting eaten up because of the work you guys are doing out there.
Yeah.
And you guys are right at the forefront and more on the socials, more upfront, more accessible, more relatable. One question I had, and then I want to get into more of the deal, but you said something about a refinance on this deal. Was the seller on the subject to loan, were they going for a refinance to get all their equity out, or the buyer was getting
It was going into foreclosure, so she was saving it.
Okay.
And then she was wrapping the loan around to.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
I called it the wrong thing, I think.
All good. I just heard a refi because I haven't heard one of those in a while.
Refi. We do a lot of those with refis, though. Yeah.
I love it. All right. So let's go. So you got the deal. We have some folks that were participants in it. Now we call that what? Gator wrestling? That you guys are doing?
Yes.
We tend to call Gator wrestling. I know there's different terms for that. We tend to call it when we go in on the deal. But like with another Gator, it was a smaller deal for us. It was a total $25,000, and then we each brought $12,500 to the table. So that's what we call wrestling. But I think there's also the term wrestling, meaning it's a bunch of people from the community. So yes, in two ways it was wrestling, because we had a connector, we had a borrower, and we had lenders all in the community, and a TC.
Love that. What does someone make on something like that? Now, you said 1 to 2% on the transactional lending. I don't know any of these fees. And now I know it's always up to negotiate. It's always up per deal. It's always up per the lender.
is.
So guys, there's no boilerplate out there. If you're looking for a boilerplate, I'm telling you right now, there's not. However,
She had come to us and offered 9% flat return
For 2 months?
for 1 month.
For 9% for 1 month.
Yeah. So it was a really good return for 1 month.
but
And
you also
sometimes when they're very small deals, the percentage is higher.
Yeah.
Yep.
To make it worthwhile.
make it worth it.
Do it,
Now,
yeah.
if you did 9%, do you often see that someone might add a point? Now, I'll get into, or you can elaborate on what a point might be. What other fees might you see in there? I'm really on the education side of this.
Well, one of the things is we don't add extra points on it. And that's part of, we're doing deals with somebody where it's 3% a month, but
For 3 months.
for 3 months,
9%.
no, it's 9%. But if they were going to go get that loan from a traditional lender, they're going to pay 12% annual. They're going to add a couple points. They're going to add $1,000 for underwriting and $1,000 for appraisal,
Plus the time.
plus the time and
Plus
plus
these-
30 days to get it. So it's worth it for them to just pay a flat fee of this 110%,
like
because
that.
those little fees add up. The junk fees that lenders put on. So we don't put extra points on our lending.
Yeah.
We just come up with a flat return, and it is very deal specific based on the borrower's experience, how fast they need it, the amount of money they need. I mean, how much security there is in
Right.
that property. Like a second position
Needs
is going to need a higher return for us than a first position, for instance.
Do you mind if I ask like some just like general, I don't know, hypotheticals?
Sure.
Being on the outside, right? I'm going to pretend I'm on the outside. Are we still seeing the days of folks that have inexperience? So if I have little experience and I don't know you and I'm offering 18, 19, 20% return, is that a red flag?
yes.
Well, we have some, it depends on the length of time. We've done some for 6 months with a completely inexperienced borrower.
At 6% a month.
Yeah, so it's 30% flat return for 6 months, actually about 30%, so 5% a month. Yeah, but on those, we're way more involved, and we do not do too many of those, by the way.
Yeah, you're looking at the equity.
Everybody thinks flipping's easy from watching TV. First time flippers, there's a couple areas where you go into, they need to live within an hour of that property.
Yeah.
Because we've run into those. Experience in the last year, they lived 5 hours away. First time, my background's been construction for 30 years, and we've flipped about 35 houses, I think. It's not easy.
It's not.
Things come up, and so
Especially for first-time flippers.
Right.
They
Yeah.
just don't always know what they don't know until they experience it for the first time.
Especially, yeah. And I just talked to a girl today. Actually, she's in the community. I won't, Kate in Florida. I'll just leave it at that. And
Okay.
we talk, and she's in Gator, and we've become friendly where I'm trying to be a resource to her also. And she comes on some of the deal sauce, lives that I do. And what she's like, oh, I want to do this flip. But I think I shouldn't. Everyone is telling me not for the first. Mm-hmm. It's a great flip for somebody, but not on your first. And I'm like, yes, make the 30 grand and be so thankful if you can get 30,000 on an assignment. Give that to someone else.
Yeah, a low ARV is so much better to start with than trying to start with a higher ARV, because you're just going to have a higher success rate.
Yeah.
Less that can go wrong.
The small ones, the small, more affordable ones are easier. We were doing $700,000-$800,000 flips. Sometimes they're hard to turn. Plus, you have a different clientele. Your quality of work is a whole different animal compared if you're doing in Dallas DFW. If you're doing a $300,000 flip, blow and go, and it'll sell in a week.
Blow and go. I never heard that. I like that. That's first.
The workmanship, the painters come in.
I love it.
Still make them look nice.
They look
Of
nice.
course
but
you
they
do.
are not smooth texture walls, and
They aren't nitpicking every little.
blue tape
Yeah.
everywhere.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, Diane, I know you make sure of that. Making sure I just keep it on his.
He always does. I always have to make sure he doesn't go too high end, actually.
Yeah. No, I get it. And it's easy to do. But I like what you said, Roger, when you said make sure they're living within an hour of the property.
Mm-hmm.
And that is just another little nugget that, people don't realize. Yeah, you need to be, because when you're so far away, you're on chasing other deals, other opportunities, and it's out of sight, out of mind.
Right.
Yeah.
And
if
then
it
there's-
takes you a full day to get there and come back, you're not going to go as often, whether you think you're going to or not.
Another little nugget we do in there, we do a Zoom before the sale or before they lend. And then in a group text, we have the borrower, the lender, the contractor, all doing a text and connector in a text. And from the construction side, what we learned is we were having them put up, the contractor put it on Google Drive. That's a pain for them to do, and they wouldn't do it. So if they're all in that group text, do a video walk through the house with your phone and hit send in the group text from the street, get the address in there, and everybody sees what's going on every week.
I love that.
A lot more updates than trying to have them upload it and everything.
Does someone have an Android?
Really easy.
I'm sorry?
Is there an Android in there, a green bubble once in a while messing it all up?
Sometimes it works.
I'm joking. The pace joke. But all right. I know we veered off. At the end of the day, guys, I don't think this episode's really going to be so much about one little Texas deal that Roger and Diane have done in their time. I think you understand that they're powerful. I understand that there's TC, Gatoring. They collaborate. They're leaders. You guys are running meetups or done meetups. I think we're even going to try to collaborate on a meetup. We'll get you guys involved when we all come off a Squad Up Summit. By the time this comes out, we're probably just that week or maybe a week or two afterwards. So all is well. I'm hopefully going to say we're all having a great time and Squad Up by then. But what is it that you need? What is it that you're looking for? Any other things that we can close out with?
I think for us, a lot of this has become it brings us joy working with new Gators as long as they're putting in the work as well. We meet with new Gators constantly, and each week we have meetings set up, and it's fun for us to be able to sort of mentor someone. I'm sure it's the same for you, Justin, that you just bringing someone in that's never done this before and teaching them how to make sure they're doing this the right way, finding out what their passion is too. A lot of times our first meeting is, what do you want from Gator? What is it that you're trying to get from this? Are you doing transactional lending or private money lending? Or do you want to buy and holds? A lot of people will get into this and be like, oh, I really want to do the Burr method and get some houses under our belt. We're like, okay, that's a totally different strategy than Gator, but that's okay. We can help guide you that direction too. So it's been fun for us and building our community doing that.
And keeping people, and one of the things is keeping people in their lane, because some people will join. I've done it for a long time. That's why we've been and then she keeps me in line. But it's the stay in your lane and focus for a while, do that, because what's in SubTo is just so much information. Then they want to get into Gator, and then they want to get into top tier. So Diane and I, we kind of have our team. And with our meetup, we just want people to connect and meet each other. And what's fun is you get to know people and you see someone across the room, hey, this person can help you. So, and it all comes full circle, and then it comes back to you. And we just like people connecting and learning and not making mistakes.
I love that.
And it comes back. Absolutely. That's what he said. I was going to say. Everyone's like, well, what do you get from it? And we're like, we do. We will end up, it'll come back to us. We don't worry about that one. We're in the process.
It's true. It's 90% of it, doesn't come back. And a lot of the folks, and sometimes there's expectation issues, but just you said something earlier. You said, we know this person, I think her name was Lisa, from the meetups. You're driving, you're in the car going to Oklahoma, and you go like, oh yeah, we know Lisa. And again, it's like, because you put yourself in that environment though too. And now you guys can do deals. So you getting out of your comfort zone, you leading, but being in the right room, gave them permission, but you now have permission to go because you know the deal, you know these people. So it makes your investing a lot easier. So getting uncomfortable, just showing up is 90% of this. Just show up.
Yeah. And even if we didn't do that deal, they called us for information. We talked to Brandon. We thought it was a good deal. And we had known Lisa, if they would have just done it themselves, we would have said, good for you.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah.
Last thing I'll ask is, it dawned on me, is there a bird dogging type? Like, let's say someone came to you and they're brand new. They go, hey, I got $20,000 in a self-directed IRA. I can do some sort of lending on it, do something for you. Or I have nothing. Is there a type of person that's a bird dog for you to find opportunities for you to go out and get and find and source something for you?
Yep. The connectors Pace created or has in the community, it's a terminology with Gators, the connectors. Somebody may not have money, or their money may be out, because money goes in and out when you have it. Mm-hmm. And then you find somebody that needs money, kind of like a bird dog, and then bring it into Gator. And there's people with money, and that's where you're connecting. That was what Tammy did.
Yeah, actually.
Yeah. Dr. Tammy, she did that and brought us together.
Mm-hmm.
So good.
Brought them together.
So guys, listen, there's a position for everybody. You just got to start. You got to put your foot foot in front of the other, but also what would you recommend? 90 days, 120 days, unrelentless commitment to something
Yeah,
in this?
absolutely. Well, we always say we have this calendar where people sign up to make an
Calendly.
appointment with us, Calendly, and they'll be like, hey, your calendar's booked out over a month. And I said, yeah, it's perfect time for you to finish your training in that month and get your Blink card set up, to get your own Calendly set up.
Damn.
And then by the time we meet, you'll be up and running and ready to go. So we sort of purposely don't like them to be able to set it up right away. It gives them that time, that 30 days to sort of really go fast.
And we've seen people get through it in 2 weeks. We've seen people with full-time jobs get through it in 2 weeks. We've seen people for 2 years that haven't got through Gator 1.0.
I know. Diane, what you just said is so powerful, and I love that. Wow. Man, I don't know. You guys should be teaching that whole course now. Pace needs to graduate. Pace, get out. You need to graduate from that. You guys should be up in there. Honestly, very, very powerful. It's very rare that I meet leaders as willing and giving and as dedicated as you guys. Honestly, I mean this sincerely.
Well,
so I think from my perspective, thank you. And because you guys are nurturing and raising great people to just do better deals for all of us. And your wisdom and everything you guys are bringing, I want to thank you so much. And I know you guys are doing podcasts, and you guys were just highlighted with Pace, and this is going to come out in a couple of weeks, but we need to hear more from you, I think, more and more.
Okay.
So guys, I hope you got some value from this. Give it up to Roger and Diane. Guys, how do we get a hold of you, by the way?
My phone number's down there, 805-368-6508. You can also reach us both on our Facebook Messenger. Neither of us do much Instagram. We
a little nudge for those who
There's
don't.
so many communication ways out there, but Roger Oquist on Facebook and then Diane Oquist on Facebook, and it's very easy to find. There's not a lot of Oquist.
Guys, it's Oquist is their last name. Look them up, Roger, Diane. Guys, that's the Get Creative podcast. If you're a member of Gator, SubTo, Top Tier TC, reach out to Taya at TAYA at pacemorby.com. Come on the podcast. Have your chance to be featured on the next episode. You have to top this one. Good luck. But no, this is the Get Creative podcast. I'm your host, Justin Tuminowski. Find me at realestatejustin.com. Guys, thanks for listening. See you on the next one.
Thank you.